Hi, welcome to Stand With Us. I'm Roz Rothstein, your host, and today we have with us Kay Wilson, who is an amazing woman. She has an incredible attitude and is able to really infect the people around her with her sense of humor, which is remarkable because she has been through a lot in her life. So I will introduce you as a jazz musician, a cartoonist, a woman who made Aliyah and lives in Israel, originally born in the UK, but also a survivor of a Palestinian machete attack, which murdered her friend.
My Christian friend.
Your Christian friend, and nearly put an end to you. And here we are sitting, miraculously. How many years later?
Nearly 4. The attack occurred in December 2010.
And miraculously sitting together here to hear your story. Not only that, not only are you about to hear the story, but you're on tour for Stand With Us, telling her story on college campuses and to communities. And so we are so delighted to have you with us. Thank you for
Ross.
Being here.
I'm delighted to be here as well. I'm delighted to be alive, you know what I mean?
Yes, I do know what you mean. So, or I can't possibly know what you mean, but at least I'm happy to be here in your company. So tell us, Kay, where do you begin when you tell your story? How do you even start?
Well, I mean, there's so much to this, not just the event itself, you know, but the lessons I've learned and continue to learn. But I usually, I'd begin as why I made Aliyah, because growing up in 70s Britain, did I just give my age away on camera? Oh, God. Anyway, so growing up in 70s Britain, you know, you're like, kids are taught to be seen and not heard. And I found the UK so dull, so grey. And I wanted to go and find life. And so when I made Aliyah in 1986, Israel answered me that, and I found such a liveliness and vividness, and it's like a dry sponge soaking everything up. And then I spent the next few years doing everything but sitting in an office, you know. It's like, you named a few things, but I also cleaned out parrot poop from a zoo, and I rode a motorbike and anything but not sit in an office. So I was absorbing all this life around me. And this is all to say that when the terror attack happened, it's like everything was, I mean, my life wasn't shattered, it just became unrecognizable.
So you lived in Israel for how many years before the terror attack?
Well, one thing I didn't do, I wasn't a mathematician, so I don't know. I made Aliyah in 86. Hang on, 86.
About 15 years, something like that?
The attack was in 2010.
Okay, so it had been significant time already, 15, 20 years.
Oh, absolutely, and I definitely feel or felt, you know, because I've been there the majority of my life. Mm-hmm. So, look, I still count in English, but you absorb the culture around, and I identify myself far more as an Israeli, British-born Israeli, than an English person living in Israel.
So you lived through 10 years of the Second Intifada.
I spent just a few months in Israel until the first Intifada broke out. Mm-hmm. So I've lived through 2 Intifadas. Look like it's the third Intifada coming out. The Gulf War, first Gulf War, second Gulf War. I'm not crying, by the way. I poked myself in the eye, but that's just for the viewers.
2006 Lebanon War.
Yeah, Gaza conflicts.
So you're really a true Israeli survivor.
Well, along with the other 8 million Jews and Arab Israelis who live there.
Be careful not to take too much credit.
Yeah, you know, Israel is a hard nation. It's hard to impress.
I know, it's just so there was this Intifada going on, Second Intifada, and it was now 2010. And take us to what happened to you.
Okay, well, I became a tour guide. Okay, that's ultimately what I realized I wanted to do. I'd found so much life and good things in my country. I wanted to boast and share it with the people who came. And I specialized in guiding Christians about historical Israel. And also I got invited to Eastern Poland to do a historical tour of the Holocaust, again for Christian groups. And it's then that I met the late Christine Lucan. And so I invited her to come and hike. And she only came over for 4 days in December 2010. And there we are, we set off. Should I tell you the story?
Sure, tell us the story. So Christine Lucan.
Christine Lucan, an American Christian, okay, who was deeply interested in the people of Israel, the land of Israel. I liked her. I'll tell you something a little bit, how do you say, makes your hair stand up on end. When I was in Poland, we were visiting Sobibor, the group was visiting Sobibor, and it's getting people back on the bus, and Christine's like nowhere to be seen. And so I end up as one of the guides walking back through that, what they call the stairway to heaven, walking back through the forest, and I find Christine there, leaning against the memorial, and she's reciting Kaddish, and that was just so profound, you know. So I invited her for a hike, and she came over 4 months later. So we set out on the Israel National Trail on a Shabbat. It's an autumn day. And we've been walking about 20 minutes, me, Christine, and my little dog. And then I take her to a, what's it called, viewpoint that I knew from guide school. And we're sitting there, and I'm showing her where we'd been previously in the morning. And I can see about 50 feet away, suddenly I see 2 Palestinians hiding in the bushes. And, you know, my heart is like thumping. What on earth are they doing there? You know, they shouldn't even be in national Israel. And although we weren't that far from the path, we were alone. And even if we'd have stayed on the path, I mean, it's a quiet place. I mean, there's Israelis around having picnics here and there. So I just told Christine not to make a noise and hope that they didn't see. The dog's going running off catching flies, and they see us, and one of them stands up and asks me in Hebrew for water. I just joke with him. I didn't want them to come too close. And sure enough, they go away. And Christine asked me, like, what was that about? And I mean, I didn't want to make her anxious. So I just said, let's get back to the car. We can see some other stuff. They wanted water. So we start walking down. She's behind me. I take out my penknife because I thought they might have seen my backpack. We're walking, and I hear a scream. I turn around, and one of them jumps on me, and we're fighting from on the ground. And I'm trying to stab one, and I manage to prick him lightly with my penknife, but he overpowers me, and he brings out this huge machete. And I mean, I'm suddenly from nowhere drenched in sweat, and my tongue is rolled up. It feels like a huge pillow stuffed down my throat, and that's when it all starts.
So we're anxious to hear what was going through your mind and how you managed to survive. We have to take a break, but we will be right back with Kay Wilson, survivor of terrorism. We'll be right back.